Well, let's talk about the what seems to be going on with the other guys. What I would do another video talking about what seems to be going on with Coronation Street and Emmerdale at the moment. So, over the last month, within the last month, at least five characters had left Coronation Street. Obviously, Gail left over Christmas. Obviously, it was recently announced over the weekend that Sue Cleaver will be leaving her role as Eileen Grimshaw. It's also been announced that Holson Smith, who plays Craig Tinter, has also been axed, and he will be leaving Coronation Street this summer after 14 years in the show. And then yesterday it was also confirmed that Charlotte Jordan, who plays Daisy Midgley, who will also be leaving the series as well later on, later this year at some point. So obviously Craig is an interesting one because Lisa George obviously left her role as Craig's mum Beth Tinter in, I think it was August that she left. And now we know that he was actually axed from the show a couple of months ago during the autumn. So a little bit of a strange time that all these characters are being axed, and I think unfortunately this isn't the last. There's more to come. I suspect that there is more to come. I mean, obviously, at Emmerdale, quite a few big names have been axed from that. Obviously, we saw Daisy Campbell leave her role as Amelia just before Christmas. We know that Roxy Shahidi is leaving her role as Layla. We know that Leslie Dunlop is leaving her role as Brenda. We know that Susan Hudson will be leaving her role as Wendy Posner as well in the coming weeks. So obviously Paula Lane is coming out of Emmerdale as Ella Forster as well. So quite a few big exits to come up. We also know that in one of the flash forward trailers we saw a body being dumped in a river, but we don't know whose body it was. We also saw Caleb flatlining in the hospital as well. And we saw Haynes standing by someone's grave crying. Now whose grave was that? Who knows? All that's really known is there's going to be a bit of an exciting year for Emmerdale. A lot of big storylines. But I think it's very crazy, at the moment that so many characters are being axed. I think from what I've heard, I think it's budget cuts that are the reason why these cast members are going. It's sad because it seems like nobody's job is really safe at the moment. Unfortunately, it seems like even the most loved characters are being axed. Obviously, we know from Coronation Street. We know as well that Sue Devaney will be leaving her role as Debbie Webster. It was announced towards the end of last year that she'll be departing the soap in a dementia storyline, which is set to be starting in off this year, and is set to be going on beyond 2025. So she won't actually be leaving the show this year, but she will be leaving the show. Probably maybe next year or the year after, I don't know, probably 2026 to 2027 is when we'll probably see Debbie go, but we know that it's not going to be this year that she's leaving, but she is going to be leaving as part of this upcoming dementia storyline. So yeah, quite a big time for her. I think, so many big names being left. I mean, obviously, when it comes to Eileen, I mean, I'll be sad to see Eileen go, but she was a good character, to be honest. I mean, I'm not too bothered about characters like Daisy, like Daisy and Craig leaving. I'm not saying that Craig is a bad character, but, he's just not one of my favourites, to be honest. Same with Daisy, I've just never really liked her character. I thought that, she's been in it, 4 years? And I'd have thought by this time that her character would have grown on me, but it really hasn't. It's still crazy to think, obviously, we said goodbye to Gail at the end of last year, although there's been talks that she could still pop up here and there in, special guest appearances. And now, obviously, after 25 years, Eileen Grimshaw is Sue Cleaver is going to be leaving as Eileen Grimshaw. I'm actually wondering if Helen Worth's departure as Gale had a part to play in Sue Cleaver's decision to leave her role as Eileen. I wouldn't mind betting that it probably did. I probably wouldn't mind I probably wouldn't mind betting that that was a factor in her decision to leave the show. Although we don't know that for definite, but I think some people have assumed that maybe that was a factor, and I don't think you can really rule that out because maybe it was. I think there'll probably be a lot of people who will be sad to see Eileen go, but there will also be a lot of people that'll be happy to see Eileen go. Now, obviously, they've not. I don't think they've actually mentioned when Eileen's leaving. All we know about Daisy's exit is it is going to be later this year. The only real exit we know of is the one at Craig. We know that Craig is going to be leaving over the summer. So sometime between June and August, so in about 5 to 7 months' time, he'll be leaving the show. So still a little way off of his exit, as that's not going to be happening for a little while yet until the summer. So I mean, yeah, it seems like there's a lot of drama going on at ITV at the moment. All these big names that are being axed from Corrie and Emmerdale. It is like, what the heck is going on? I honestly think it is budget cuts. I think that's what they've said it is anyway, budget cuts. But I think, as I said, I don't think this is the last of the exits, or like the last of the characters that are being axed. I think that there are definitely going to be more to over the next, probably over the next several months. It's great, I can't think of any names that I could see being asked, potentially seeing someone like Yasmin Nazir being asked from the show. Because, obviously, let's really think about it, right? Shirley Kim, she's not really been involved, too directly involved in any kind of major storylines for a little while now. Like the only major storyline I feel like she's had was the storyline with Jeff Metcalf. I feel like that was the only kind of decent storyline that Eileen's had, and she's not had another decent storyline for a while. We didn't really see much of Yasmin on screen last year. It felt like. She was one of the characters that, very rarely appeared in any scenes last year, and I think, it makes you wonder, had she leave, had she go, had someone like Ali and Nazir be axed, could they end up axing someone like Maria or Gary, because. What we're seeing is that Coronation Street and Emmerdale are not afraid to act, long-term characters that have been in it for a number of years. I hard see that they would act someone like Rita or Hen or someone like that. I don't see them doing that. I don't see them acting it out to like Roy Cropper, but there are other long-term actors who potentially go. I've seen that I see that Jane Danson has been mentioned, obviously as potentially leaving a role as Leanne Battersby. I think that would be a bit of a shock if that did happen, but obviously we don't know whether it is going to happen. But I think people have sort of assumed that it is. People have sort of assumed that she could be one to go. I still feel like Sue Nichols isn't going to be in the show for very long now, especially now that Helen Worth has left the scale. We know that obviously Kate Ford and the actress who plays Evelyn, they're not on. They're basically on like guest contracts now. They're like not on full time contracts. So yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a crazy time. You're kind of thinking, well, which characters would be axed next? Which characters would be most likely to be axed next? And you're sort of looking at characters that haven't been involved in any kind of major storylines as being characters that that would be the next to be axed, and it's like, I think, as I said before, it's like, it's crazy as it seems like nobody's jobs are actually safe at the moment. It seems like nobody is safe from being axed by Corrie and Emmerdale at the moment. I mean, EastEnders haven't axed anyone for a while. Things seem to be going okay there at the BBC, but with ITV, on the other hand, things don't seem to be going so well at the moment. And, obviously, it seems like a lot of big characters are being given the boot from both Emmerdale and from Coronation Street as well. I mean, there's probably been some actions that have rubbed some people up the wrong way, and I think there'll be a lot more actions that people won't like. There'll probably be some actions that people do like. But as I said, it will be interesting over the next kind of several months to see which characters are the next ones to go. Because they'll probably, I think we all know for a fact that there are going to be more characters to be axed from the show, and that this isn't the last, and obviously, this is not the last one today. Obviously, Charlotte Jordan, who plays Daisy Midgley, she's not going to be the last one to be, to be axed. That there'll be more characters. I think that we all know there'll be more characters to come over the next few weeks and over the next several months, in fact, that will be axed from the show. But just who those characters might be, who knows? It seems a very uncertain time at the moment. We'll see what happens. I'll see you in the next video soon. Bye bye.